Free. She was infertile and rejected until a mountain man said, "I have 9 kids. Come with me." Emma had always imagined her life unfolding in a way that seemed simple and beautiful. She had dreamed of a warm home filled with laughter, the smell of fresh baking, and the small, happy chaos that came with children running through the halls. From a young age, she had pictured herself as a mother, caring for little hands, guiding them through life's ups and downs, and watching them grow into kind, strong individuals. She imagined the joy of school mornings, bedtime stories, scraped knees that she would comfort, and the pride in seeing their first steps. But as the years passed, Emma began to notice that life was not following the path she had imagined. By the time Emma reached her early 30s, she had spent countless months and years trying to conceive. She had visited doctor after doctor, undergoing tests, treatments, and procedures that left her feeling exhausted and emotionally drained. Each negative result felt like a heavy weight pressing down on her chest, suffocating her hope a little more. She had prayed, cried, and held on to the belief that someday, somehow, she would hear the words she longed to hear. "You're going to be a mother." But those words never came. The emotional toll of infertility was not something Emma could easily share with others. While she had friends who were pregnant or had children, she often felt like an outsider in their celebrations. Invitations to baby showers or family gatherings were bittersweet, filled with smiles on the outside but a storm of sorrow and longing inside. She tried to put on a brave face to act happy for others, but behind closed doors her heart ached. There were nights she would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling a deep, gnawing sense of loss that she could not explain to anyone. Society's expectations made it even harder for Emma. Everywhere she went, she seemed to encounter reminders of her own struggles. People would ask casual questions, not realizing how painful they were. "When will you have children?" Or, "Don't you want to start a family soon?" Each question, though innocent to some, felt like a knife twisting in her heart. Even friends who meant well sometimes unintentionally made her feel invisible or incomplete. At work, she noticed colleagues whispering, subtle glances that suggested judgment or pity. She overheard comments like, "She's great at her job, but she'll never understand family life," and it stung more than she wanted to admit.
Emma often wondered if she was being selfish for wanting something so deeply, something that seemed out of reach for her.
She questioned herself constantly. Was she broken? Was there something inherently wrong with her? Why had life treated her this way when she had so much love to give? These questions kept her up at night, and the answers never came. The silence of unanswered questions became a constant companion, one that weighed heavier each year. In addition to the emotional struggle, the physical toll of infertility treatments was exhausting. Emma endured painful procedures, hormone injections, and strict diets, all while maintaining her daily life and responsibilities. The treatments drained her physically, leaving her weak, swollen, and often in discomfort. But the worst part was the emotional roller coaster, the hope of each cycle, followed by the crash of disappointment. Breath. She sometimes felt like a failure, as if her body had betrayed her in the most fundamental way. Each new attempt was a gamble, a fragile hope she clung to, only to watch it crumble. Despite the loneliness and heartache, Emma had moments of strength. She was resilient, refusing to let her dreams of motherhood completely die. She sought solace in small joys, caring for her plants, baking bread, writing in her journal, and taking long walks in the park. She volunteered at local schools, finding comfort in the laughter of children, even if it reminded her of what she longed for. She surrounded herself with people who brought light into her life, though she often had to step away from gatherings that made her feel inadequate. Her family tried to support her, though they didn't always understand the depth of her pain. They would offer advice or suggest new treatments, sometimes unintentionally adding pressure. Emma appreciated their concern but often wished for quiet understanding, for someone to simply sit with her in her sorrow without trying to fix it. Her parents loved her deeply, but even they struggled to reconcile their own expectations with the reality that she was facing. Their concern was a reminder that she was different from what they had imagined for her life, and that difference sometimes felt like a barrier too large to cross. Emma's social life was complicated by her infertility. She had watched friends get married and start families, and while she wanted to celebrate their happiness, it often brought an unexpected ache. Invitations to baby showers and birthday parties were bittersweet, putting on a smile, laughing when expected, and offering congratulations. Other times she would decline, unable to face the quiet sorrow that would follow her home. She felt isolated even when surrounded by loved ones. The world seemed to move forward, leaving her in a place of quiet, invisible grief. Narration. It wasn't just external pressures that weighed on Emma, it was her own inner dialogue. She had to fight against feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt every single day. There were moments when she questioned her identity, wondering if she could ever feel complete or fulfilled. Could she find happiness in a life that did not include her own children? Was she capable of loving and being loved in other ways? These questions haunted her, and the answers were not easy to find. Amid the sadness, Emma also experienced moments of quiet hope. She had a small group of friends who offered unwavering support, and they reminded her that she was valued for who she was, not just what she could provide in terms of motherhood. She found solace in her work, in creative pursuits, and in moments of connection with people who truly cared about her heart. Even though the path was painful, these glimpses of love and understanding helped her continue moving forward. Emma often took long walks in the early morning, finding peace in the quiet of nature. She loved watching the sunrise, feeling the crisp air on her face, and listening to the birds as they began their day. These walks were her time to reflect, to breathe, and to let go of the weight of judgment and expectation. In these moments, she imagined a life filled with laughter and love, even if it did not come in the way she had initially dreamed. Death. She began to understand that happiness could exist in unexpected forms, though the path to it remained unclear. Despite all the heartache, Emma never completely gave up hope. Somewhere deep inside, she still believed that life had something extraordinary waiting for her. She clung to the possibility that joy could come in ways she had never imagined, that family could mean more than biology, and that love could be found in the most unexpected places. Breaths rasp. Every day was a struggle, but every day was also a chance for hope, no matter how small it seemed. As she navigated this difficult chapter of her life, Emma realized something important. Her worth was not defined by her ability to have children.
She was kind, compassionate, strong, and capable of loving deeply.
Even when the world seemed to reject her or overlook her pain, she still had value. This understanding did not erase the sadness, but it gave her a foundation on which to build a new kind of hope. A hope that would guide her toward unexpected possibilities, adventures, and connections. Brash. After years of struggle and disappointment, Emma knew she needed a break from the pressures of her life. The weight of unanswered questions and relentless societal expectations had become almost unbearable. She decided to take a short trip, hoping the quiet of nature would give her a sense of peace she had longed for. She packed a small bag, put on comfortable hiking clothes, and left behind her city life for a few days. Breaths. Her plan was simple: to walk, breathe, and escape the constant reminder of what she could not have. The mountains were serene, painted in shades of green and brown, with trails that twisted through dense forest and across streams that sparkled in the sunlight. The crisp air filled her lungs with a refreshing coolness, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt a small flicker of hope. She moved slowly along the trail, noticing the subtle beauty of the world around her. The way sunlight danced on leaves, the soft sound of a bird's song, and the gentle trickle of water over smooth stones. Each step she took felt like a small release from the burdens she carried in her heart. It was on the second day of her hike that she met him, Jack. He was a man in his early 40s, tall, rugged, and with a warmth in his eyes that immediately set him apart. Jack lived in the mountains with his large family and spent most of his days outdoors, tending to the land, teaching his children, and living a simple but joyful life. Emma first saw him helping a young boy retrieve a ball that had rolled down a slope. Despadille. His ease with children and the gentle authority he carried were striking, and Emma found herself watching from a distance, feeling a mix of curiosity and admiration.
Their meeting was almost accidental.
Emma had been walking along a narrow trail when she slipped on a wet patch of rocks. She tumbled forward, catching herself on her hands but scraping her knee in the process. Round. Jack, who had been nearby checking a small vegetable patch, rushed over. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Emma looked up, embarrassed by her clumsiness, and nodded, trying to brush off the fall. Jack helped her stand and offered her a clean handkerchief to wipe the scrape. There was no pity in his tone, no awkward silence, just genuine concern. As they walked together for a short distance, Emma found herself talking more freely than she had in months. Jack listened intently, asking gentle questions but never pressing too far. He spoke about his children, the mountains, and the challenges of raising a large family, but always with a sense of humor and lightness. Emma was surprised by how easy it was to converse with him. In a world where she often felt judged and scrutinized, here was someone who simply accepted her presence and treated her as a person, not a problem to solve. Over the next few days, their paths continued to cross. Jack's children were curious about Emma, and she found herself laughing with them as they ran along the trails, pointing out interesting plants or sharing stories about the animals in the forest. Emma felt a warmth she hadn't experienced in a long time. It wasn't just the mountains or the fresh air. It was the genuine connection, the feeling of being seen and valued for who she was. She realized how lonely her life had been, even when surrounded by people who cared, and how refreshing it was to meet someone who made her feel like she mattered.
Jack invited Emma to visit his home one afternoon.
The house was a large, rustic cabin that blended seamlessly with the natural surroundings. Children's laughter echoed from every corner, and the smell of freshly baked bread filled the air. Emma felt a mixture of awe and nervousness as she entered. She had never imagined a home so full of life, yet so welcoming and calm at the same time. Jack introduced her to each of his 9 children, and despite her initial shyness, she found herself quickly forming small connections with them. Brations told stories and shared their little adventures with her, and Emma felt the sense of belonging she had long thought impossible. What struck Emma most was how Jack interacted with his children. He listened to them, guided them, and disciplined them when necessary, but always with patience and love. There was no anger or harshness, only a steady presence that made the children feel safe. Emma found herself observing him, silently learning from his example. She realized that family was not just about biology or traditional roles. It was about love, guidance, patience, and the willingness to be there for each other, no matter the circumstances. As the days went on, Emma found herself drawn deeper into Jack's world. She helped with small tasks around the house, prepared meals, and joined the children in their games. Each day was filled with laughter, learning, and unexpected joy. Emma noticed that her heart, which had felt so heavy and closed off for so long, was beginning to open. Purpose. Not in achieving something external, but in simply being present, helping, and connecting with others. Jack and Emma often spent evenings sitting outside, watching the sun dip behind the mountains. Jack shared stories of his life, how he met his children's mother, the challenges he faced raising 9 kids on his own, and the joys that made every struggle worthwhile. Emma listened, captivated not just by the stories but by the way Jack spoke about life, with honesty, gratitude, and a deep sense of humor. For the first time, she realized that happiness did not always come in the way she had imagined. It could be found in simple moments, in connection, and in love that was not conditional on one specific outcome. One afternoon, Emma helped the children with a small project in the garden. They were planting flowers and vegetables, and Jack was guiding them while letting them make their own mistakes. Emma laughed as one of the children accidentally dumped too much soil into a pot, only for Jack to kneel beside them and gently show them how to fix it. Break. She felt a sense of peace she had never known, and she realized that life could still offer her joy, even if it came in a form she had never anticipated. Their growing friendship was built on trust and understanding. Pressured. Jack never asked Emma about her infertility or pressured her to talk about painful subjects. Instead, he allowed her to be herself, to share what she was ready to share, and to find comfort in his presence. Emma found herself looking forward to their conversations, the quiet walks, and the moments of shared laughter. She began to notice a lightness returning to her step, a spark in her eyes, and a warmth in her heart that she had not felt in years. By the end of her trip, Emma knew that meeting Jack and his family had changed her in profound ways. She had come to the mountains seeking escape and peace, but she had found something much greater. A glimpse of hope, a sense of belonging, and the understanding that love could take many forms. She realized that life was not about fitting into the expectations of others, but about finding paths that brought fulfillment, joy, and connection.
As Emma prepared to leave, Jack walked with her to the trailhead.
"You're welcome to visit any time," he said warmly, with a twinkle in his eye. "Life's too short to be alone, and sometimes the best families are the ones we choose." Emma smiled, feeling gratitude and a sense of possibility. She knew that her life could change in ways she had never imagined, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a quiet excitement about what the future might hold. That evening, as she sat by her tent looking at the stars, Emma reflected on her journey. The mountains had given her more than rest. They had given her hope, perspective, and the courage to open her heart again. And in that healing, she sensed the beginnings of something extraordinary, a connection that might just change her life forever. After returning from her brief visit to the mountains, Emma found that her mind was constantly occupied with thoughts of Jack and his family. The peace she had felt there lingered like a soft, comforting memory, pulling at her heart. She realized that the mountains had given her more than just a temporary escape. They had shown her a different way of living, one that was simple, joyful, and filled with love. For the first time in years, Emma began to imagine a life where happiness was not measured by society's expectations, but by the moments of connection and care she could share with others. Back in her city apartment, Emma noticed how different her usual surroundings felt. The noise, the rush, and the endless pressures that had weighed her down now seemed sharper, harsher. She missed the quiet mornings in the mountains, the laughter of Jack's children, and the warmth of a home that felt alive and welcoming. Sitting by her window, watching the city move on without pause, she understood that something had shifted inside her. A part of her that had been closed off for so long was beginning to open, ready to explore possibilities she had never considered before.
Unable to resist the pull of the mountains, Emma reached out to Jack.
She sent a simple message thanking him for his hospitality and for showing her that life could be full of joy and love, even in unexpected forms. Jack replied with warmth, inviting her to come back whenever she felt ready. The simplicity of the exchange was comforting. There was no pressure, no judgment, just an open door that allowed Emma to step into a new chapter of her life at her own pace. Over the next few weeks, Emma returned to the mountains several times. Each visit brought new experiences, new lessons, and a growing sense of connection. She began to see how Jack's life, though different from anything she had known, was full of values she admired deeply. He taught his children to be responsible, kind, and curious, while also allowing them to explore, make mistakes, and learn from them. Emma watched as he balanced discipline with affection, structure with freedom, and work with play. She realized that this balance was something she had been missing in her own life, and she felt inspired to adopt a similar approach to her own challenges, The children were a source of endless fascination and joy for Emma. Each one had a unique personality, talents, and quirks. There was little Sam, the youngest, who loved to ask questions about everything he saw, and Anna, the oldest, who took on the role of a mini-adult, helping with chores and looking out for her younger siblings. Emma found herself slipping naturally into a role she had never anticipated. One of guidance, friendship, and mentorship. She helped them with homework, taught them small life skills, and even shared stories of her own childhood. In return, she learned from them, gaining a renewed sense of wonder and curiosity about the world. As Emma spent more time in this environment, she began to notice how her own perceptions of family and fulfillment were changing. For so long, she had equated happiness with having a biological child of her own. Now, surrounded by a family built not just on biology, but on love, trust, and shared experiences, she realized that there were many ways to experience the joy of family life. She started to see that family could be chosen, nurtured, and grown in countless ways, and that love was not limited to one single path. Jack and Emma also grew closer during these visits. Their conversations deepened, moving beyond casual talk about the mountains and the children. They shared stories of their pasts, their struggles, and their dreams. Jack spoke about the challenges he had faced raising 9 children on his own, and Emma shared the heartache and rejection she had endured due to her infertility. Each conversation was marked by empathy, understanding, and the absence of judgment. For the first time, Emma felt completely safe opening her heart to someone else, and Jack, in turn, seemed to appreciate her honesty and strength. One afternoon, as they walked along a ridge overlooking the valley, Jack paused and looked at Emma. "You know," he said gently, "life doesn't always go the way we expect. But sometimes it gives us something even better than we imagined. Happiness isn't about following a set plan. It's about finding what truly matters to you and embracing it fully." Emma listened, feeling the truth of his words resonate deep within her. She realized that she had been so focused on what she had lost that she had forgotten to notice what life was offering her in the present. The children also played a crucial role in Emma's transformation. She watched as Jack taught them about responsibility and compassion, and she began to see parallels in her own life. She realized that she could contribute to this family not by bearing children of her own, but by sharing her love, guidance, and care. She started helping the children with projects around the house, teaching them simple skills, and joining in their games. Each interaction brought her a sense of purpose and fulfillment that she had long thought impossible to achieve. Emma also began to participate in the daily routines of mountain life, learning skills she had never tried before. She helped with cooking, gardening, and caring for the animals. Jack encouraged her to take initiative, and she discovered a surprising confidence in herself. She realized that life could be fulfilling even without following the traditional path she had once envisioned. Her world was expanding, not through grand achievements but through small, meaningful contributions and connections. During quiet moments, Emma often reflected on her journey. She thought about the years of pain, rejection, and isolation, and she realized that each struggle had led her to this point. The hardships she had faced had taught her empathy, resilience, and the capacity to love in ways she had never imagined. She understood that life's challenges could be transformative if approached with an open heart, and that the joy she had been searching for all her life might have been waiting for her in unexpected forms. Jack's approach to life also taught Emma the importance of balance and perspective. He worked hard, yet always made time for laughter, family, and the simple pleasures of living in nature. They showed Emma that happiness was not a destination but a daily practice, a series of small choices that created a life full of meaning. Emma began to incorporate these lessons into her own life, feeling lighter, more hopeful, and more connected to the world around her. The trust and bond between Emma and Jack continued to grow. She felt increasingly comfortable around him and his family, and she began to see a future where she could be part of this unique, loving household. She realized that love and family were not defined by conventional standards but by the willingness to care, nurture, and support one another. The lessons she was learning in the mountains were reshaping her understanding of life, happiness, and self-worth. By the end of her third visit, Emma had transformed in ways she had never thought possible. She was no longer consumed by sorrow or self-doubt. Instead, she carried a quiet confidence, a sense of purpose, and a renewed belief in the possibility of joy. The mountains had taught her that family was about connection, care, and shared experiences, and she had discovered that she could be part of something meaningful, even without following the traditional path she had once envisioned. Emma also began to recognize the power of hope and openness. She understood that life could change in unexpected ways and that embracing uncertainty was sometimes necessary to find true fulfillment. The love and warmth she experienced in Jack's household helped her heal, offering a vision of life that was vibrant, supportive, and full of possibilities. She realized that happiness was not something to chase or force, but something to allow, nurture, and cultivate in the spaces and relationships that truly mattered. As Emma prepared to leave for the city once more, she felt a mixture of emotions. She was grateful for the lessons, the laughter, and the moments of connection she had experienced. She felt hopeful, knowing that her life could continue to grow and transform in ways she had never imagined. And she carried with her a quiet excitement, an anticipation of the future, and the possibility of deeper bonds, understanding, and love that might yet come into her life. Emma had visited the mountains many times now, and each trip left her feeling more alive and more connected than she had in years. The laughter of Jack's children, the warmth of their home, and the quiet strength of Jack himself had begun to fill a space in her heart she hadn't realized was empty. Yet, beneath all the comfort and joy, a quiet uncertainty lingered. He wondered if she truly belonged here or if she was simply a guest in a world that would never fully be hers. It was during one of her evening walks with Jack that the moment arrived. They had been hiking along a narrow trail near a ridge, the sun setting behind the mountains, casting golden light across the valley below. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and earth. The children were trailing behind, laughing and chasing each other, their voices echoing through the hills. Jack paused and looked at Emma with a gentle seriousness that made her stop in her tracks. "Emma," he said softly, "I have something I want to ask you. I know this might surprise you, and I don't want to pressure you in any way, but I have 9 kids. A big family full of chaos, laughter, and love. And I think you could be part of it if you want to." Emma froze, her heart pounding. She had never imagined that a life like this, so full, so alive, could include her. But she opened her mouth to speak, but found that words failed her. The thought of joining this family brought both exhilaration and fear. Bust. She had spent so many years feeling rejected, unwanted, and incomplete. Could she really belong here? Could she give herself to this family and find the love she had longed for? Jack noticed her hesitation and stepped closer, speaking gently. "I don't expect an answer right now," he said. "You don't have to decide anything today. I just want you to know you're welcome. My children and I, we'd like you to be part of our lives if that's what you want." Pressure. No judgment. Just an open heart and a place to belong. Emma felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She had spent so long believing that happiness would never come to her, that life had rejected her in the cruelest way. Yet here was someone offering her not pity, not sympathy, but a genuine place in a loving, chaotic, imperfect family. Round in despair, she thought of the laughter she had shared with the children, the quiet moments sitting by the fire with Jack, the simple joy of being accepted and appreciated for who she was. Over the next few days, Emma struggled with her emotions, desperate. She spent hours walking through the forests alone, thinking about the choice before her. She thought about her life in the city, the familiarity, the safety, the solitude, but also the emptiness and isolation she had felt for so long. Then she thought about the mountains, the warmth of Jack's home, and the children who had already welcomed her with open arms. The decision was terrifying, but she felt a deep, quiet pull towards something greater than herself, toward a life that offered love, connection, and meaning. Emma also thought about the lessons she had learned during her visits. She had seen how love could be shared in many ways, how family was not just about biology but about presence, care, and commitment. She remembered how Jack nurtured his children, how they laughed, argued, learned, and grew together. Breaths. She realized that she could contribute to this family, not by giving birth, but by offering her love, her guidance, and her heart. Slowly the fear began to be replaced by hope, and the hope grew stronger each day. One evening after dinner, Emma and Jack sat by the fire outside. The children were asleep inside, exhausted from a day of adventure and play. The sky was dark and dotted with stars, the mountains rising like shadows against the night. Jack turned to Emma, his voice soft but steady.
"Emma," he said, "I know this isn't an easy choice, but I want you to know something important."
You belong here if you want to. You've already become a part of our lives in ways you might not even realize. My children care for you. I care for you. And I want you to feel that you have a place here, if your heart is ready.
Emma took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill her lungs.
She thought about the life she had imagined for herself as a child, the one she had longed for but believed was impossible. And she realized that perhaps the life she had dreamed of was not lost, only transformed. Grasp. This family, this place, this connection. It could be the home she had been searching for all along. Her heart felt a mix of fear and anticipation, but for the first time in years, she felt ready to embrace it. But the next morning, Emma decided to spend the day with the children. She helped them with breakfast, taught them small skills, and joined in their games. She laughed more freely than she had in years, and she noticed how the children naturally included her in their daily routines.
At one point, little Sam ran to her, hugging her tightly and saying, "Don't leave, Emma."
Psst, you're part of our family. Her heart swelled and she realized that belonging did not have to be earned or forced. It could be given simply because love existed. That afternoon, Emma and Jack sat on a hillside overlooking the valley, watching the clouds drift lazily across the sky. Jack spoke again, gently guiding her through her doubts. Browned in desp.
"I know it's a big step," he said. "You might be afraid of making a mistake, or of being rejected again.
But here, with us, you won't be alone. We'll face life together, and you'll never have to feel invisible or unwanted again." Emma thought about her past, about the years of pain and rejection she had endured, and yet she realized that those experiences had prepared her for this moment. She had learned resilience, empathy, and patience. She understood the value of love in all its forms, and she knew she had a capacity to give that she had never fully recognized. She felt a quiet strength rising within her, a readiness to embrace this new chapter, no matter how uncertain it might seem. By the evening, Emma had made her decision. She returned to Jack's cabin, where the children were waiting eagerly. She knelt down, looking each of them in the eye, and said softly, "I want to be part of your family.
I want to help, to love, and to grow with you all."
The children cheered, hugging her and pulling her into their playful chaos. Emma felt a wave of joy and relief wash over her, and for the first time in her life, she truly felt at home. Jack watched quietly, a gentle smile on his face.
He came over and took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Welcome home," he said simply. In that moment, Emma realized that the years of pain, the moments of rejection, and the loneliness she had endured had all led her to this place.
She had found a family, a purpose, and a home. Not the one she had imagined as a child, but one that was even better, richer, and full of love in ways she had never known.
Over the next few days, Emma settled into her new life with the family.
She learned the rhythms of the household, discovering the joys and challenges of living with 9 children. She cooked, cleaned, helped with homework, and joined in their games and adventures. Each day brought laughter, lessons, and moments of connection. Emma felt fulfilled in ways she had never thought possible, realizing that happiness was not about what she lacked, but about what she could give and receive in return. At night, as she lay in a small cabin room prepared for her by Jack, Emma reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She thought about the years of struggle, the moments of despair, and the sense of invisibility she had carried, and she realized that every experience, every disappointment, had led her to this moment of profound joy. She had learned that life could surprise her, that love could take unexpected forms, and that family was not defined by biology, but by heart, presence, and connection. Emma's heart was finally light. She felt hope, joy, and belonging in ways she had never imagined possible. She knew challenges would come, that life with 9 children in a mountain home would not always be easy. But she also knew that she was no longer alone, or safe. She had found her place, her family, and her purpose. For the first time in years, she felt truly alive.